My name is April Anne. I have been playing music pretty much ever since the day I was born. I kind of joke that I came out of the womb singing, and I was singing out of a hairbrush and rocking out to Cyndi Lauper and Madonna and all of them wonderful 80s musicians. It was my father that got me interested in playing music. He was a huge inspiration for me. He had such a love for music, and all of my life that's kind of what our special bond was, and he was always a supportive one up until the day he passed in '03. He was always my biggest fan. I always kind of knew I was going to be a musician from a very young age. I did have a moment where I thought I was going to be a veterinarian, but after losing puppy and kitties and being devastated, I realized that that's probably not the best fit for me. And instead of having to cut off my emotions, I could harness them and channel them into beautiful songs and music. And being a singer-songwriter, you get to let your emotions drive you. What inspired my album was life. This album has been a labor of love and hate and love over the past 4 to 5 years. In the beginning, it didn't really have a clear and concise story. I thought it was just going to be a grouping of songs, and then I kind of learned that it's best to tell a story. And I was scouted by a record label and thought it was going to go in one direction, and then everything kind of fell apart on me, and I decided to be the stubborn bull that I am and finish the album all by myself with nobody else's help. Just did it all in-house, mixed it and mastered it, everything myself. I hired my best friend to do the graphic design work. I did bring in one musician to play violin in a song, and I got 2 of my vocal students to sing backup in a couple of songs as well. But the story didn't really reveal its head until the very end and the very last song that I recorded, which is actually the title track on the album Unbroken, which is about me dealing with the heartbreak and frustration of dealing with a label and how that did not work, but they did not break me. And so that was kind of the closer. And my album begins with a story of heartbreak and ends with happiness and love, and in the middle I find myself and my strength. I have been teaching since I was 17 years old. Having it be a full-time job has only been in like the last 3-4 years, because it's tough to make a living as a full-time musician, so you have to wear a couple of different hats. I do teach, of course, voice and piano by day to help compensate when I'm not gigging, but it's always been kind of something that's driven me. Of course, odd and ed jobs had to take its place for a little bit, so I couldn't truly focus on it. I did have a yoga studio for like 3 years that I taught out of, but music was always where I felt at home. It's always been a huge part of my life, but having the financial stability wasn't there until a few years ago. I am very fortunate to have a lot of support from my husband. It takes a special person to commit to a musician, but he did it with open arms and not only supports me in my craft, but also will run sound when I have nobody there to run sound. He's also my roadie. A lot of times I can't lift my own gear. My keyboard in its case weighs about as much as me. And he's given me the time and the opportunity and the support to pursue it full time. Everybody else in my life thought I was a dreamer and thought it was silly and didn't appreciate me, being a full-time musician. He's completely different. The way my husband has helped my career is in every way, shape, and form. You get to hear kind of how we met and our story through the album as well. Aside from music, what I do for fun is I am a part of an off-road racing team, Beverly Wilson Racing, out of Corpus Christi, Texas, and we have a trophy truck. This is our first year with it. Music and that kind of are polar opposites, but they go together in kind of a neat, unique way. And I travel to some pretty amazing places, the Parker 425 up in Parker, Arizona, the Mint 400 in Vegas, and then San Felipe, and kind of all over the place, mostly in the Southwest and in the Baja Peninsula of Mexico. Because I'm not super mechanical, I help out with stuff at the pits, giving the guys food and water, and I bake them cookies before every race. Advice I would have for somebody that's starting out is don't give up. You're gonna have a lot of people tell you, don't, you suck, you're terrible, find a real job. And if this is truly what makes you happy in your heart, then I say go for it and don't look back. Me personally, I was told pretty much almost all my life to not sing, to never be a singer, to not pursue music, to do anything but music. But in my heart and soul, I knew that that's where I needed to be in this world, and that's how I wanted to kind of get my message and story out there, and that's what I needed to do to make myself happy. But I've hit a lot of roadblocks and had a lot of negativity come my way, but you can't let the opinion of one person or 2 people or 10 people get you down. If it's truly what makes you happy, then you need to find a way to make it possible. You can find me online at aprilannemusic.com, and it also has links to all my social media accounts, or you can find me on Facebook, Twitter, whatever, at April Anne Music. In a moment, just you and me. It's in your arms, it's in a winding road that feels like home. It's in your arms, it's in a winding road that feels like home. It's in your eyes, it's in your smile, it's in